50m ダッシュ15本終わり。
しばらく休憩したら紅白戦だ。準備しとけよ。はい。
ほらどうした、声が出てないぞ。もっと元気出せ。
はい。
もうすぐ夏の全国大会だな。
今年も優勝すれば史上初の全国3連覇か。そうなったら俺たち入学以来負けなしで卒業だな。
ああ、頑張ろうぜ。
みんなお疲れ様。汗かいたでしょ。みんなタオル持ってきたから使って。
サンキュー。
しかしマネージャー変わったよな。
ほんと小学生の時は応援団長までやってあんなに騒がしかったのに。
今じゃすっかりおしとやかになっちゃって。
翼くん、はいタオル。
ありがとう。なんだよ、翼のタオルだけ新品じゃんか。なんでだよなあ、なんでだよ。
もういいじゃない。
相手。
おーい翼、片桐さんが来てるぞ。
片桐さん。
あっちにいるから行ってきなさい。
はい。
なあ、片桐さんって誰だ？
ああ、全日本サッカー協会の人さ。小学生の時から翼の実力に注目していろいろ面倒を見てくれてる人なんだよ。今年の春に翼が高校選抜の合宿に特別参加しただろ。それもあの人が手配してくれたんだ。
へえ。
こんにちは片桐さん。
元気そうだな翼。
はい。
今日はお前のプレイ動画をブラジルのプロサッカーチームに送った件で話があってな。
本当ですか？どうなりました？
いくつかのチームから返事が来た。お前のプレイに関心を示しているようだ。本当に14歳なのかという問い合わせもあったよ。
じゃあ中学を卒業してすぐにブラジルに渡れるんですね。
ああ、しかし向こうもプロだ。すぐに契約はしてくれんだろう。おそらく向こうに行きプロテストを受けなければならないだろうな。
はい。
翼のサッカーの師、ブラジル代表センターフォワードロベルト本郷。翼は小学校卒業と同時にロベルトさんとブラジルへ渡るはずだった。しかしロベルトさんは何らかの事情で翼を連れて行かなかった。だが翼は失意をバネに大きく成長し、全国中学生サッカー大会を2連覇した。翼の実力は今や高校生レベルよりはるかに上にある。
片桐さん。
ああ、すまない。ちょっと考え事をしていた。それじゃあ今日はこれで失礼する。
もう？
私も忙しくてね。これから全国を視察に回らねばならないんだ。まあとにかく今は全国中学生サッカー大会に全力を傾けろ。ブラジルの話はそれからだ。
はい。
必ず勝てよ翼。
もちろんです。俺の目標は全国大会3連覇ですから。
そうだ翼。3年連続、いや小学生の時から通じて4年連続の全国制覇を成し遂げるんだ。そしてブラジルに渡りサッカーの国でもトップになるんだ。その時日本のサッカーは変わる。翼、お前がリーダーとなって日本のサッカーを変えるんだ。そして夢は
ワールドカップ優勝。
じゃあまたな。
話は終わったみたいだな。うん。よし、 じゃあ紅白戦始めようぜ。ハーフタイムっとは。
お前たちの実力去年と大して変わってないみたいだな。
何？お前はヒュウガ君。
てめえ何しに来やがった。
たまたま近くに遠征に来たんでな。挑戦状を叩きつけに来たのさ。
挑戦状だ。
全国中学生サッカー大会。俺たち東邦学園はお前たち南葛に負けて2年連続で
We
準優
can't
勝に
imagine
泣いて
there's
きた。
a huge overlap on the Venn diagram for football fans and anime and manga and enthusiasts. But here we are.
他の選手たち
Captain
の実力も大
Tsubasa,
きくレベルアッ
Rise
プ
of
した
New Champions is aiming squarely for the demographic of people that have both the Sky Sports and a Cronchiral subscription, and good luck to it, we say.
そしてサッカ
If
ー
you're not familiar with the manga or the anime, Captain Tsubasa, then you're in good company. We'd never heard of it either, probably because our anime knowledge is largely based around owning a copy of Akira on VHS and still not having a clue what happened in it 30 years later. Still, no prior introduction is really required here since the game explains it all in cutscenes and unlockable flashbacks. The TL Doctor version is that there's a kid called Tsubasa who was saved by football as a child when it cushioned the blow as he was hit by a truck, and he's had a love for the beautiful game ever since. That might sound like the origin story for the crummiest Marvel superhero ever, but honestly, we laughed so hard that we gave it a pass. Football literally saved this kid's life, and now he just wants to give something back. It's heartwarming, okay? And so Tsubasa, who is a teenager in the present-day story of the game, sets about to win at lots of football. The game features 2 campaigns.
何を言ってやる。
The first tells the story of Tsubasa and his team entering a football tournament and going up against weird and wonderful teams from across Japan. Each team features an amusing rival footballer for Tsubasa to try and best, specializing in different aspects of the sport. Some are attacking powerhouses, while others are stalwart defenders, and it's up to you to take them down and then ultimately make friends with them because that's how Tsubasa rolls. The story is told in poorly animated cutscenes with glib dialogue, and there's too much talking for a narrative that rarely gets out of first gear. Also, there's something deeply unsettling about the character models. This is probably a stylistic hangover from the manga, but some of the characters barely look human. Gripes about the ho-hum story aside, there's a lot to like here, mainly down to sheer ridiculousness of what transpires on screen. There's a bit where you play against a team who specialize in aerial soccer, which is particularly memorable. At one point, and honestly, we're not making this up or having an acid flashback, one of the players kicks his twin brother about 40 feet into the air so he can head the ball, and Tsubasa uses the goalposts as a springboard to fly up there and also head the ball, and then they both head the ball, and it looks like when Ken and Ryu try to head out Ken at the same time. It's things like that you just don't see on Match of the Day. The actual football bit of the game is a mixed bag. At times it's so audacious that you'll likely be sat smiling like a child, but at others it's frustrating and confusing. At its heart it's a fairly rudimentary arcade footy game. You've got all the usual passes, lobs, and through balls. Each player has a spirit meter, and they use up spirit by completing certain actions. Sprinting, for example, depletes the spirit bar slowly, while using a special shot technique will use a chunk of the bar all at once. passing is fairly unreliable, and even if there's a clear route to the player that you want to pass to, you'll often find yourself passing to the opposition. There's the ability to switch control to the nearest player to the ball by tapping L1, but this seems to be more of a guideline than an actual rule, since often it just switches to another player halfway down the pitch. The dribbling too is a bit of a lottery. There's other silly odd glitches like when players will just circle around the ball rather than ever collecting it, and the throw ball is essentially useless. But the biggest problem here is the way you score goals. Every time you shoot and the goalkeeper makes a save, the keeper loses a bit of their spirit meter. You have to whittle this down, and then once it's low enough, a shot will hit the back of the net. And only once you've scored, the keeper will get their spirit meter replenished. It's possible to score without depleting the keeper's spirit, but in our entire time with the game it only happened twice. This system robs the game of a sense of spontaneity, leaving it more like a battle of attrition than a game of football. You take a shot and you know that you're not going to score. You're just doing it to leave the goalie more vulnerable later. This is a big problem. If you go 2 or 3-0 down, as once it gets to a certain point, you'll know that you physically don't have enough time to break down the keeper 3 times to get back into the game. But for all of the annoying gripes we have with how the football works in Rise of New Champions, there are times when it's genuinely fun if you can look past the flaws. The outlandish moments of anime silliness really spice things up, and besting a troublesome opponent with a last-minute tiger shot, a shot in which a magic tiger guides the ball into the net because why not? Ice wonderful. As we previously mentioned, there's also a second campaign in which you make your own hideous anime character to play as, and you earn points in matches to level them up and improve various skills. Again, it's a throwaway narrative, but the extra customization options are welcome. There's also an online versus mode if you want to play with other people for some reason. It's fairly robust, with a leveling up system and a shop to unlock more atrocious haircuts and stuff using an in-game currency. Conclusion. Captain Tsubasa, Rise of New Champions is a bit like when you fancy watching a game of footy, but there's only the Scottish League on the telly. Sure, it looks like football to the untrained eye, and yes, occasionally it's entertaining just like real football. But you're mainly there hoping that someone is going to get chinned.
ぞ。もらってていけ。それ。それ。それ。
そら。
これだ。それ。はっ。はっ。それ。
それ。
はっ。はっ。いけ。それ。いけ。はっ。そこだ。それ。そこだ。森崎、今のくらい若林君なら胸で取るぞ。
一体どうしたんだよ翼。
そうだよ、急に本気でやりだして。
さっきの浦部たちのこと気にしてるのか。俺は油断してたんだ。油断してないつもりでも勝つことに慣れて、自分たちはいつでも勝てるって思い込んでいたんだ。けどさっきのでそれが余裕じゃなくてうぬぼれだって分かった。それに努力してるのは浦部たちだけじゃない。全国にはもっともっとライバルがいる。みんな俺たちを目指して必死に練習しているはずだ。それなのに俺たちがうぬぼれていたら全国大会3連覇なんて達成できるはずがないんだ。
なんで、そういうことかよ。じゃあ翼、次は何をする？翼の言う通りさ。確かに俺たちうぬぼれてたかもしれねえ。
ああ、それを消すには練習するしかないな。
何でも言え翼、俺たちはいくらでもついていってやるぜ。
そうさ、俺たちは南葛の戦士だぜ。みんなよし、みんな全国大会3連覇に向けて全力で突っ走るぞ。おっ。